we've got here is failure to communicate.
Working audio is like flying a helicopter, and I don't fucking know how to fly a helicopter.
Are you crying? There's no crying! There's no crying in baseball!
Strap on your cleats and buckle up for a wild ride around the Diamond of Deception.
Welcome to the 643 Conspiracy, where we swing for the truth.
And knock conspiracy theories out of the park.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode on the 643 Conspiracy Podcast. We're coming your way with the fourth inning of the Dugout Sessions tonight. We've got a great cast lined up for you. We're going to have some great conversations. But before we jump into all that, just real quick, you know about my pets. I love them. I try to help their paws stay lubed up, moisturized. I like to keep them calm from their anxiety and their aches and pains. Go to purepetwellness.com, enter promo code 643, get yourself 20% off every time you go see them. Great products. All natural ingredients. Everything's made in America, locally sourced. Go check them out. And then go get yourself some conspiracy soap. Go get them buttholes clean one time for the one time around this Christmas time. You're about to be a bunch of around all your family. You don't want to be stinking. And let me tell you, I have fallen in love with the Nessie bar. Oh, my Lord. I thought the Invasion was the best scent that the conspiracy soap had to offer, but the Nessie is out of this world. It's amazing. Go check them out at dangerousworldpodcast.com. Anyway, like I said, we're going to be doing a dugout session tonight. It's been a while since we've had one. It's going to be the fourth inning. We got great guests lined up, but I need to introduce my co-host. Y'all may know him as Chef Kyle. Some as the backdoor bandit. Others as the fillet of fish hash slinging slasher, but his friends and family know him best as the commified truther of the West. Chef Kyle, what's going on?
Wow. I am flattered. That was beautiful. That was beautiful, Hank.
Head tip to the Wicked Planet. I love y'all.
That was nice. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's Friday. Ready to get these holidays over and done with. So I'm really looking forward to 4 days from now when it is then the 26th of December. And yeah, I won't keep it too grinchy, so I'll leave it at that. But I'm doing well. Thanks. I'm ready to rock and roll, baby.
Yes, sir. And welcoming back to the show, we've got the lovely Crystal Chestnut back in the house. Crystal, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
I see you really weren't playing when you said you was going to be wearing a Grinch sweater.
I told you I'm not above it. I'm still taking the Grinchy route. So until this whole year is like over, said and done with, and all of my firsts are out of the way, it's Grinchy, baby. And sure. I have no problem with it.
Let's go. And last but not least, everybody's favorite time traveler, the red-bearded wonder of the far deep south. Welcoming back to the 643 Conspiracy Podcast, Drew Missing. How are you doing, my friend?
Good, Hank. Thanks for having me on. Now, I know baseball season's over, but it's not too late to jump on the cricket train and get into the Big Bash season and watch some cricket. It's international, baby. Come on.
I've admittedly watched cricket. Also, admittedly, I haven't understood a single aspect of it. Like, I have zero clue what the rules are. I'm sure I could have YouTubed it by now, but every time I watch it, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pick up on what they're laying down, and I'm completely oblivious to the rules, but it seems cool. I've seen some I don't know if y'all call them outfielders in the sport of cricket or just fielders or whatever.
Just fielders in general.
Well, I've seen some fielders make some incredible what we would call web gym catches, laying out full extension, and they don't wear gloves in cricket. I've noticed in the outfield.
Don't need big clown like hands. It's just all about that diamond catching it, or the all-seeing eye. But you catch that ball, man.
Well, brother, I'm really glad you could be back with us. It's been a while since we've spoke. I guess the last time we spoke, we were doing a holistic roots episode about homeschooling and stuff.
Yeah,
we've kind of been slacking on the holistic roots front, but we'll get back to it eventually. Oh,
definitely.
I don't think anybody's life has been any kind of sane over the last however many months it's been since we spoke last. But I'm really glad to have you back on. You're one of my favorite people out here to talk to, man.
Thank you. As long as there's not some guy in a bunker somewhere with the ATF ready to knock down the door, waiting on a Holistic Roots episode to save him, I think you're fine.
Man, that would suck.
When are they going to drop the next one? I need this. Boof, boof, boof.
God, I wish.
Detox these heavy metals.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I'm pretty sure. I think my fiance Ashley sat in for most of it as I babysat. Yeah, that's not really how I was planning on it going, but it was still good. I still appreciate you taking your time out of your day to hop on and spill some truth.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Well, I feel like up front I need to acknowledge some error on my part. Kyle and Crystal, the last time we got down, we did a Christmas deep dive, almost semi deep dive into Christmas. And I kept referring to Yule originating from Nordic regions, and that was a mistake, as the fellows at Operation Red Pill have so eloquently noted that there is a distinct difference between Nordic and Germanic cultures and regions. So in all fairness, I fumbled the ball, much like Jalen Hurts. I fumbled the ball, and I was ignorant in my ways. I erred in my quest for truth, and so just insert Germanic where I said Nordic from the Christmas episode, and I think we'll be all right. So,
see, I think you're actually right though. Yule is Scandinavian. But German and Scandinavian, it's like splitting hair and fur.
Exactly.
There's Odin and there's Woden. It's pretty much the exact same culture, but to the south.
And see, I was getting my information
like Southern
from
Germans.
I was getting my information from the Britannica website. I thought they were pretty credible. I figured if anybody had the lowdown on Europe, it'd probably be the Europeans. But
you would think so.
But I'm not saying that I may have just misread, but because they were talking about King Haraldson around the 3rd century, you started merging Yule and Christmas into a more of a singular holiday, and I could have swore it referred. Hakon Haraldson sounds pretty Nordic to me. That don't sound too Germanic to me, but I could be, like you said, when you're dealing with those ancient, cultures from back then, who really knew where one stopped and one started? Probably them. I mean, I'm just some asshole from Arkansas. But after mentioning Operation Red Pill, they just released their episode, the one I told you that they were most likely going to be dropping anytime soon. They did. They hit the nail on the head. They were spot on with answering how Christmas landed on the 25th. So if you haven't listened to the Christmas episode that Operation Red Pill just released, Crystal and dear listeners, go give that a listen, because it's great. And introducing somebody who knows how to make an entrance is somebody that knows how to carry Carry on. Our good friend, host of the Big Grimbowski podcast, Shawn. What's up, my dude?
What's going on, guys?
Man, chilling like a villain. Shawn, first and foremost, I want to introduce you to Miss Crystal over here. This was my original co-host, Ryan, that I told you about. This is his wife. And so
Awesome.
we're bringing her on, trying to lift her spirits this Christmas time and hanging out. And I don't know if you've had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Drew Misson, our favorite Nephilim time traveler from Australia. He is from the You're Missing the Point Christian Coalition Conspiracy Christian, or what is it, the Conspiracy 3 to 3000 and about 15 other podcasts out there.
Too many.
And Drew, Crystal, this is Shawn. He's the host of the Big Grimbowski podcast. Really good guy.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Crystal.
What's up?
What's up, brother?
What's up, man? What you getting into tonight?
Well, I think that usually, for the occasion, you guys always seem to be having something to drink with you. So I was like, for the spirits, I grabbed a Truly.
Okay. There you go.
Hey, those aren't bad. I'm not even gonna knock on Trulies. I don't mind them. I don't
Mango lemonade.
mango lemonade.
For
that's
some
it right
reason,
there.
that seems like that's just such a Shawn thing to be drinking.
I can't be out drinking, y'all. Like, I'm dead ass over here, like sipping on apple pie moonshine. So,
Oh yes.
So is that from the liquor store or is that from your cousin? Because I need some for Christmas.
Actually, okay, it's from a lady at work. Her husband made us all some, and when I tell y'all, it's like official.
Well, I don't think it's
official. Like, you
illegal to
can't
ship that
even
shit across state lines. I will pay
bet.
whatever. I have been needing. Look, apple pie moonshine is probably my favorite alcohol on this planet to drink. And
Bet. Okay, I got you.
I lost my connections to people that I knew that had connections to it, and I'm not trying to go buy fucking what was the dude from that moonshine show? Oh, Popcorn Sutton. I ain't trying to go buy. I ain't trying to buy his liquor store ass moonshine. I'm trying to drink some real shit.
No, for real, I got you. So she's already making us, or plans to make us, like some more, to where we have like multiples. So I got you.
There we go.
That's crazy, because that's kind of like a tradition in my family. My family buys these special pots from Arizona. I don't know if they're what exactly they're made out of. I want to say it might be terracotta. I could be wrong, but everyone except for myself actually has one. But it's a big pot, and it gets custom painted by this gentleman named Jerry Wolf. So Jerry Wolf is a family friend, and he used to designed almost every Hot Wheel car you can imagine. He did the original artwork on the Hot Wheels, and so his penmanship, or not penmanship, but his art is beautiful. And after the Hot Wheels deal, he used to pinstripe cars at a body shop up in Northern California. But my aunt would go every year and get Everclear from, I believe, Arizona, and then brings that back over, and then they make he's got their own like apple pie moonshine. So, God damn it.
That is the most American sounding thing I've ever heard. Apple pie moonshine.
Oh, dude. Let me tell you, Drew. Like,
does it strip your organs while having a nice taste by the sounds of it?
I mean, it tastes just like apple pie. Like, you can't go wrong with it, especially when it's done right. Like, it's one of those that it'll sneak up on you later on. So you gotta
later on,
in moderation.
Oh yeah, 150 proof easily.
Yeah, I was gonna say, your
To,
average
like, play it cool.
Your average moonshine is at least 140, 150 proof. I don't know what that is in the metric system, but that means strong as fuck over here, Drew.
Definitely.
that means that shit's flammable, real
How
flammable.
blind are you after you drink it? Like,
See, now
does
if
your vision physically go straight away?
If you do it right, you don't go blind. That was the thing, was back during the prohibition, you had every fucking Joey Bag of Donuts who had access to copper and corn was making his own steel, and the people that didn't know what the fuck they were doing were out here blinding people for real. Like when Hank Williams Sr. saying that he drank till he couldn't see, that's a metaphor for just being shit faced. There were people who were you drink a glass of this moonshine and you lost your sight because the fucking bacteria and shit that was still in that whiskey or whatever. But the people that are out here that know what they're doing, oh, but in my humble opinion, you run across some just straight non-flavored moonshine and you fuck around, take you a swallow of that shit, dude, you're hurting. Like it takes your breath. It's worse than swallowing gasoline. Like it is.
We did that prematurely one night after the bar because it was a bunch of us and it was a guy from up north. Can't remember where he was from or whatever, but it was like we were out celebrating a friend's birthday, so it was like a big, nice sized group of us out. And somehow one of the guys that was in our group became friends with this dude, and he was like, "I got some moonshine out in the truck if y'all want to try it." And we're all like looking at each other like, "You're from like no, don't play." In other words, and so we all went out there. And he poured some on the ground and he lit it on fire, and the flame on it was like this bright blue. And then like everybody, I think even myself, like everybody grew hair on their chest like that night because I was like, I'm the one that's driving, guys. So
fucking
no more. I'm out. I'm done. I'm bound out. I'll take the coward's way out this time.
We started bonfires with Everclear. Didn't have anything to start the fire with, so you pour a shot out for the homies and set that bitch on fire. And man, you talking about, I don't know, Drew, if y'all have anything in Australia that's the equivalent to Everclear. Everclear is a white liquor. It's pure grade alcohol.
It's ethanol.
It's you can put ethanol, or you could put Everclear in your vehicle and get down the road. It has flammable warnings like you would see on the back of tank. Well, I don't know if y'all have tankers over there, like big truck freight truck tankers that have the flammable markers. It's on a liquor bottle. Okay. It's on a liquor bottle. And one night I was a teenager. I might have been 16, 17, and me and a couple of my best friends were over at their grandma's house, and their grandma was a straight G, man. She was awesome. She was one of them ladies that was like, I really don't much care what y'all do as long as you do it here. Once you get here and once you start, you stay here. I lived right across the road, literally right across this road. So it wasn't a problem for me, but like we were having fun, and we went and got this fifth of Everclear, and we quickly realized we didn't buy any proper mixers or chasers. And so we were stuck in this house chasing Everclear with sweet tea. Oh my gosh. That was, man, golly, you talking about shit faced. I don't get drunk like that anymore. Like if
you ever chase Everclear with sweet tea, you might just be a redneck.
I swear to God. Like I'm drinking some Apple Crown right now. I've had me about 4 glasses already, and I probably got another 3 or 4 in the bottle. I'm not gonna get shit faced. I'm not gonna get drunk. Like I'm gonna get right. I'm gonna feel great, but I don't. There's no point in getting so drunk that I can't stand and function and conduct myself properly on a podcast. Like those days are far long gone, because the hangover, when we mentioned Hank Williams Sr. Well, his son, Hank Williams Jr., said them hangovers hurt more than they used to. He wasn't lying. because what I used to could bounce back from damn near kills me today. Like I remember days where you stay out all night drinking yourself sober, watching the sun come up, and then realizing you got to go to work. Like that used to be a thing. That would literally put me in the grave right now if I tried that.
As soon as you get past
way.
25, hangovers start to last 5 days.
Man, mine was 27 is when I looked back and was like, dude, something happened. Like for real. And everybody on here outside of Crystal right now understands after 27, it's not gravy anymore. There's a number in that late 20s. It might not always be 27. It sounds like Drew is 25. Mine was 27. I mean, you wake up and you realize that the playing field has shifted drastically.
You just got to stick with beer.
We're no longer in front of the 8 ball. We are severely behind the 8 ball, and it sucks, man. Like I'm thinking about going and seeing a doctor and shit. Be like, hey, dude, you got to help me out, man, because my wife's 5 years younger than me, and I can't handle. I just want to go to sleep. Help me, Lord. Help me.
I wonder if it's 27 for you guys because the legal drinking age is 21 and for us it's 18.
Ooh, that's solid.
So it sets in earlier for us.
I think the drinking age should definitely be a little bit I think it should be a little bit I think the drinking age should be earlier because I feel like people do depending on their parents and depending on how they were raised, like when you're super sheltered like that and you're not allowed to have like a drip of alcohol, you can't like, and then they turn 21, people just do some dumb shit, dude, because they're just not used to, but,
see, because I've got to encounter this problem within the next 3 to 4 years. So my daughter just turned 13 2 days ago. I'm going to have to be that guy that's going to be like, look, you're going to do it here and you're going to do it with me. And if I even catch a whiff of you doing it anywhere else, we're going to have a problem. We're going to go grab some boxing gloves from the Walmart and step out back. I don't care if you're a girl. I'm giving you an out. Take the out. Don't disrespect it. Because I had that person. I had several people in my life that were, hell, even my mom was one of them, where she was just like, look, if you're going to drink here. Go buy it for you. But once you start, you're not touching them keys and you're here. And I feel like overall, granted, all things accounted for, I turned out okay. There's several nights I shouldn't have woke up the next morning over the choices that I have made. Whether you know what I'm saying, pushing the limits of a human teenage and early 20-year-old body to the absolute limits, and just somehow still waking up the next morning. And I have no reason to be alive right now other than the fact that God wasn't done with me, because my childhood was wild. And I consider my childhood to have started when I was 16. Like I didn't even get to wild out until I was older. And like Kyle was saying, because I had grown up in an environment where it was like, my mom had me convinced that the instant I let the first drop of liquor pass my lips, that I was going to be an alcoholic for the rest of my life. Because, and I'm proud to say that I have broken the generational chain of alcoholism in my family. That was me. I did that. But it set the table very weird. You know, growing up, I was like, man, I can't even enjoy myself. I can't go do and be like the other kids because I'm going to hell. You know, I'm gonna go burn. God's gonna kill me if I go. And then you find out, oh, I'm not gonna go burn in a lake of fire if I drink this beer or whatever. And thankfully, I had the people in my life that were Like, hey, come do it here, people, because shit got ignorant for a long time. Like from 16 to 25, I wasn't worth a fuck. I mean, I was a worthless human being. It was just a party, nonstop party, no responsibilities, just whatever. We were chasing that dragon, baby, and we succeeded a lot.
See, it's crazy because coming from a small town because I grew up in Brenham, so it's a small country town, but it's where Bluebell ice cream is made. So, growing up there,
ice cream.
exactly. So my biggest thing was like everybody in town, literally everybody in town knew who my grandma was. So I was afraid to even be seen out in public with anything, even if it was just like a juice container like in my hand, because on more occasions than not, I have had several people come up and they approached me and they were like, "Oh, you're Jesse May's granddaughter," and I was like,
See, I
noted.
can
Like,
relate to
so
that.
they were giving me the hint without telling me, like I'm watching you. Like she got eyes everywhere. So I was like, man, fuck this. Y'all go do whatever it is that y'all need to go do. They know my grandma. They did already brought her up. So yeah, I'll come and pick y'all up. That's what I'll do, but I will not participate. So yeah,
The
it's
difference
crazy.
between my small town and your small town was all the people that were watching me were doing worse than me. So it's like, yeah, go ahead and tell my mom what I'm doing, because I'm gonna tell my mom what you're doing. And you're the adult. You have no excuse.
Yeah. Yes,
I'm
I
just a
was like,
kid.
I played it like I was very like cautious when I was out and about at, said parties where underage drinking was happening but hey, at the end of the night, we were cow tipping. So, I mean, all in all, it was a good night.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've never really lived unless you've been at a big party, and as everybody else is pulling up, you're in the car puking your guts up because you showed up too early and you got shit faced. Your party's done before it ever got started.
Dude, I made that mistake so many times. It's not even funny. Where I'm like, I'll take a shot of tequila, I'm good to go, and then I'll smoke a fucking doobie, and I'm before the girl that I knew was coming to the party that I was interested in, dude. I'm fucking done, dude. I've had some bad, dude.
I got so
I made a lot of
trashed one
mistakes.
night that I was out with a bunch of my friends, and literally we showed up an hour before the party started, but there was some people there just before I drank beer. So I drank vodka and chased it with Smirnoffs, and sat there and drank like half a fifth of vodka in 30 minutes and like 6 Smirnoffs, and I was done. Like literally, I'm hanging out of my car where everybody else is parked, and people are actively pulling up, and I'm just calling Earl over here, just having the not so time of my life. And they take me back to one of the girls we were out with, took me back to her place, put me up in her bed on the second floor. Somewhere down the line, her granddad and her uncle show up and start. They're in. Next thing, all I know is they're in the room. Like they're grabbing on me, shaking me, like, who the fuck is this? And they're like, we're gonna throw him out of the window. And I'm just like, laying there trying to act like I'm still asleep and shit. I'm drunk as fuck, scared as shit. Because I'm not even the girl dude that's with the girl. Like my friend's with her. Like I'm just drunk. They put me here. I didn't do this. And I thought I thought they was gonna literally throw me out of the house from the second story window. That was wild. I've had many nights. Like I used to be a stupid cheap drunk. I mean, pathetically cheap drunk.
Dude, listen. Okay, so I wasn't the one that was drunk, but like when I was in my early to mid 20s, I met this girl online, and I was supposed to go and meet her. And I get there and come to find out, like, she was so nervous to meet me that she needed to just start drinking. So she starts like drinking like a shit ton of, I can't remember if it was like fucking tequila or what it was, but she was already pretty sloshed when I got there.
Let's go.
So it's fine. And like, you know, it's her and she's over at like her friend's house, and it was this lesbian couple. And so like, we're all hanging out and, you know, having a good time and this and that. And then she's like, starts going on about how I was so nervous and blah, 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 blah. just kind of like, you know, all over the place and everything. And then she's like, you know, trying to climb like on top of my lap and like make out with me in like front of them. And I'm just like, okay, all right, I just met you. Let's simmer down first, you know. Take a step back here a second, honey. And it wasn't more than like 15 minutes later that this bitch fucking pukes everywhere.
Let's go.
And I mean like everywhere. Like I literally push her to the side because like she wouldn't get off of me. And then all of a sudden she's like, I need a trash can.
No
and
shit.
I was like, oh shit. And I was like, hey, I think she's gonna throw up. And all of a sudden, like, yeah, she starts like throwing up. Like they help her into the bathroom. I hear her just like throwing up. I'm so hardcore. And then on top of that, like she got puke all over herself. So they had to help her change like some of like her clothes. And she's like, don't look at my vagina. Okay, because like I know you guys are lesbians, so don't like look at my pussy that way, okay? And I'm just like, I'm still sitting in the living room like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And like all of a sudden she finally comes back in. She finally comes back in and like sits back down. She's like, I'm really sorry. And they're like, honey, you need to lay down and like go to bed and stuff. Like you guys can talk later. And I was like, yeah, we can talk later. Like that's fine. Like it's not a big deal. And yeah, she wouldn't. She proceeded to still try to like make out with me, and I'm just like, honey, no, that door's closed. You done puked. Like you have not brushed your teeth, nothing. Like this ain't happening. Like we're done here. And it took a minute to get her to lay down, but I ended up jetting out pretty quickly after that. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe like this shit literally just fucking happened.
Dude, I've only like, and this was not my fault, to be fair. It was a birthday. It was one of my birthdays. Like, I don't know. It's probably been about 8 or 9 years now. But so they took me out and we met up at Whiskey River. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, let's do shots right off the bat. So we're doing shots. And then like, I'm like trying to go and dance some of this stuff off. And then like my sister pulls me off the dance floor after I've had like beer and tequila and vodka and Fireball and something else that was like really dark, so dark that I was like, ugh, and I was like, nope, we're not drinking that one. And so then like these couples are out because they're like out because they managed to find a sitter for the night. And so she's like, these people over here want to buy you a drink. And I'm like, do you know these people? And she's like, no. And I was like, then why are they buying me drinks? She's like, because it's your birthday. And I was like, okay. So my dumb ass goes to the bar. We're like still shooting Fireball and stuff. And I made it all the way home before I got sick. And I was just like, it was coming up like left and right. And my sister was like, don't you fucking throw up in my car. And I was like, shut the front door. And she was like killing herself laughing at me. And so it I don't know, it was a good birthday, but it was also like, you know, we came home and she was like, Mom had to help me get you out of the car. And I was like, yeah, I remember something about that. And she was like, do you remember, my mom said, do you remember me telling you, like, if the room's spinning, just lay down on your back and put one foot on the side of your bed on the ground? And I said, yeah. She said, did that help? I said, absolutely. And she's like, I have no explanation for it, but it works. And so whenever I get to that point, or like after that, because I can't, I'm with you, Hank, I can't drink like I used to. But if I get to that point, then I just keep that little bit of information in the back of my mind, because it does help. Like, I was like, no shit, it worked. And she was like, yeah, like your great uncles told me that like a long time ago, like back in the day. And I was like, well, y'all were all drinking together because, you know, kids could go to cafes and hole in the wall bars and stuff back then, but now it's frowned upon. So, you know. But yeah, that's like the only time I've ever gotten sick. And I was like, I took a stance then. I was like, I am not doing this shit ever again. And I haven't, not to that effect, at least, anyways, because that was terrible. But it was a good birthday, but it was terrible.
That's all that matters. I do have to say there is an art to this, and I've fucking mastered this shit. Because I still to this day I fuck up. I'm not perfect. So I'll be throwing back beers, and my fiance Ashley, she's the one that she's more of the pothead. She's a stoner. Anyhow. Yeah. And she'll always try to pass me. I'm like, I'm good right now. Well, sometimes after I've had a couple beers, like a lot of beers, I'm like, I'm good to go. I'm feeling great. And I'll fucking take a rip. And I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. And I just, if you move, like anyone even talking to me, like, I'm just like, shut the fuck up, dude, because I'm gonna start puking. But there is, like, in my brain, what I do, I close my eyes and I literally picture, because you feel like you're spinning. And I've got this thing down, and I don't know. I wish I could share with you my exact technique, but it don't matter how fucked up I am or how much pot I've smoked. I'm not puking, dude. It ain't happening. I close my eyes and I just fucking zen out. And I think I tell myself, like, you're not spinning. You're not spinning. You're not spinning. You're not spinning. You're not definitely not spinning. And yeah, that's my trick. But I'm going to, next time, I hope this doesn't happen anytime soon, but the next time it does happen, I'm trying to watch myself. I will lay on my back and put one foot on the floor, and I will be thanking you later, Crystal. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Drew, you got everything all fixed up or what?
Yeah. I don't know what was going on there. I had pop-ups and virus detection stuff going crazy. So sorry, I had to jump out and run some stuff.
CCP was gunning for you, man.
Oh, ASIO, you know, the usual. Just our version of this fucking CIA. Nuts.
I'm guessing you have like a
going
an
on
HP.
Sorry,
what kind of computer do you have?
Mac.
What? And it's happening to you on a MacBook? That's incredible. I thought for sure you had like a HP or Windows like I have right now, because usually I don't know a lot about Macs. The last time I had a MacBook, I was like, I don't know. It was a long time ago, like 14 years ago. And from my knowledge, like, they're supposed to be really, really, really good at like blocking that shit out.
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, this is the first time I've had it. So as soon as that
weird.
stuff was popping up, I quickly downloaded the best antivirus software there is and gave it a run. It said nothing's detected. So I'll see what happens.
Dude, I've had that happen to me so many times on my desktop, where I'll have, like, I know something's wrong with my computer, and then I'll go do like a free trial or whatever and get whatever program, the AVG or whatever, and I'll run it and it says no problems detected. And I'm like, dude, bullshit. There's an issue with my computer right now. It'll shut off and on whenever it wants, and you're telling me nothing's wrong with my computer? Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, no good at all. So I dare say you were talking about hangover cures or not throwing up while you're drinking.
Yes.
The key has to be, and I think this is what does me, and when I do drink and I start to feel seedy, is if I mix drinks. If I either stick to beer all night, I'm fine, or if I stick to spirits all night, I'm fine. As soon as I start interchanging, that's what puts me over the edge. Unsettles the stomach.
what is
What's
there's
the
a saying?
Yeah,
It's
it's
liquor
like
before beer. You're in the clear. Beer
Beer
before
before
liquor.
liquor, never sicker. Liquor
never
There you
before
go.
sicker.
beer, have
Yeah,
no fear.
I'd agree with
yeah.
that. That's
It's weird how
Yeah.
that works, though.
Well, I kind of feel bad, sitting here. We're reveling in our debauchery, and we've got the pure, holy innocent Drew Missing on with us, and I just feel like it's kind of unfair for us to throw it in his face that we're just a bunch of heathen. So,
dude, I have the sin of gluttony when it comes to alcohol. If it's like a big party or an event or something, I will overindulge. So we're all human.
Not the pristine educator of children that is Drew Missing.
No, not at all. Humanity, my
But
friend.
with it being we're balls deep in this Christmas thing, what would y'all say? And I'm especially curious to hear what you got to say on this, Drew. What is y'all's go to? I mean, when you think Christmas movie, what's your go to? If you had your pick of the litter, you got one movie to put on to watch with your family or Christmas, or just by yourself, whatever. But if it was your choice, what's that movie?
Well, I'm in that weird generation where I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s predominantly. So I grew up with the Home Alone films, but the Santa Claus with Tim Allen was very big growing up. So I'd have to say it's Home Alone 2, purely because I think it's one of the best comedies, let alone Christmas movies. But in my household, we have a really strange tradition where, for whatever reason, one Christmas Eve, Aliens came on. So the one with the power loader and they're fighting the Queen alien. And that appeared one year, and for whatever reason, the local broadcasting channel kept putting it on year after year at Christmas Eve. So it's become this unofficial Christmas tradition within our household to watch Aliens on Christmas Eve. But if it's a real Christmas movie, it'd have to be Home Alone 2.
Awesome. Crystal, what's your go-to?
We're definitely watching Die Hard. And then if the kids if the kids are up and involved, then they're off watching Home Alone or The Grinch, but definitely Die Hard.
Let's go. Was that Ryan's favorite Christmas movie?
Oh, yeah.
I could totally believe that.
Yeah, for sure.
Shawn, what you rocking?
It's gonna be Home Alone and Die Hard, hands down.
Yeah. Chef baby, what do you say? You got the pick of the litter. Any Christmas movie at your fingertips, but you got to put one on. What are you putting on?
That's tough, man, because I definitely, as we spoke earlier, like I'm not the biggest Christmas fan, like at all. So when I do put something on, it's not for my pleasure, it's for my kids.
Sure.
I like Elf. I do. For me, I think it's funnier and funnier every time I watch it. But yeah, I do. I enjoy Elf. There's one more, dude, and it's not Home Alone. It's not
National Lampoons.
Yeah,
Christmas
so
Vacation, that's a classic.
I do like Christmas Vacation. I do like that. There's one more. When it comes to me, I'll spew it out, but it's not one of like the top. I guess it probably wouldn't be ranked like the top 5 Christmas movie. But Hank, what is yours? What is your go-to for Christmas?
Well, my answer is probably going to shock people. I was born in 90, so I feel like I'm in that weird generational bridge between the kids that exclusively grew up with Home Alone and the kids that exclusively grew up with the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. I'm just the right age to where I don't give a shit if it's 4th of July. I could put Home Alone 1, 2, and I'll give 3 its credit. Unpopular opinion. 3 is a good movie. After that, I don't care. But 3 was a good one. But then I can watch all of the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies and just be just as happy as anything. My wife is by far the biggest Grinch fan I've ever seen, and I love it. The Jim Carrey Grinch gets played no less than 10 times a year in this house throughout the calendar. Love the movie. Can't go wrong with putting the Grinch on. I'm a big fan of the older cartoon version too, but Jim Carrey is literally probably the top of my actors list when it comes to my lifetime. But for me, I am a huge fan of the Christmas Chronicle movies with Kurt Russell. I don't know what it is about those movies.
Wow, you're a zoomer.
I don't know what it is about them, and maybe it's just I love Kurt Russell a lot, but those are some really great movies. You know,
What's the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, Jingle All the Way. That's
See,
a good one too.
Now that
With
we're talking
Sinbad.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm going to mention something that's going to be quite controversial. Die Hard, as good as it is, could have been much better if it was originally what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger sequel to Commando.
Oh wow!
Could you imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger in the role, running around, big, bulky, 80s society?
motherfucker.
No, come on.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting instead of Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah.
Hans!
Yeah, exactly. Except he'd pick the dude up and break him over his leg. He wouldn't be throwing him off a building.
Right.
Just snap him in half. Be done with
Hans,
it.
remember when I said I'd kill you
But
last?
then by
I
the same token, Drew, he wouldn't have fit in the air ducts.
Yeah, he would have stuck like this.
I cannot get to the chopper. No, but there's so many good Christmas movies, and listening to all the other podcasters do their Christmas shows for the years, you hear people throw up what's the one with the all he wants is the Red Ryder BB gun. My son looks just like
Christmas
the
Story.
kid. Christmas story. Yeah. My
Christmas
son
Story.
looks just like the kid when we put his little red boggin on. I swear to God, he looks just like
Which
him.
I had never seen until recently when we watched it for Conspiracy Theater.
I'm a big
3000.
fan of, I don't know if y'all know who Ernest is, but Ernest Christmas.
Ernest
movie.
Saves Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's probably one of the
Quality.
greatest Christmas movies never mentioned.
The Ernest films in general are fantastic. Ernest,
Yeah.
Halloween,
Yeah.
Ernest Goes to Africa. They were great. Ernest
God,
in the Army.
I love Ernest.
Not to like get off topic as far as like movie like genres go, but and I'm sure Drew, I'm assuming here that Ryan has mentioned to you the movie on Netflix, Leave the World Behind.
Yeah, man. That came because we're a day ahead of you guys. That came out, and it was the day that we were filming A Christmas Story, and I had 2 hours up my sleeve before recording, and I watched it, and I sat there. I'm like, we've got to do this. We've got to do a breakdown on this.
I cannot wait.
Ryan's like, oh yeah, it's a Netflix film. It's probably trash. A day later, he's like, we've got to do this breakdown.
Dude, that's
I'm like,
a
I fucking
great
told
movie.
you.
Yeah, you
It's
guys
so-
definitely got to do that.
The scary thing about that is, and it legitimately scared me as a film, is generally they like to hide things like Easter eggs and have little subtle clues. There was no subtleness. There was no clues.
No,
It might as well have
no.
just been Obama at the Oval Office saying, we're coming to kill you and there's nothing you can do to
Yep.
stop us.
Or we're gonna let this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a
Like-
switch for the internet.
Yep.
Yep.
Or
Hey, there was
a switch
picked
for
up on-
civilization.
It really was, and I've watched it twice. I'll probably watch it again tonight.
Well,
But
see, I'm gonna
I'm
watch it
picking up
again
on-
too, and then me and you can do a breakdown of it.
Yeah, that'd be dope, dude. Because
maybe we'll hit
there's
on some
so-
shit that Drew and them don't hit on.
Well, dude, I've found stuff that because it's all over like
Oh,
Instagram
yes.
right now. It's all over everywhere, and I'm picking up on stuff that's not at all has not been said. Like there's once I forgot. It's kind of towards the beginning.
Where they
It's like
fly
an
past
aerial
the
view.
exit on the freeway with the
No,
signs.
I didn't see that one, but there's a big queue. I think there's two of my fiance picked up on another one. There's a big queue. It's like an aerial view looking down, and it kind of starts panning out, and it's a fucking queue, like a huge queue. And I'm like, what in the world could Q have to like? It's hard for me to like if it wasn't Barack and Mike Obama that were the executive producers of the movie, Big Mike in the house, I would have never thought at all of the Q. But yeah, that thing is filled like just, and I'm just like, man, I don't know. That was a fucking wild
without
movie.
Spoiling a potential episode for us. Early in the film, when they're leaving for the vacation, they're driving down the freeway, and you see two of the green signs that are up over the freeway, and one says Point Comfort, and I can't remember what the other one is. But when you look into what Point Comfort and that other place are, it's a fort, I believe. You find out that Point Comfort was where slavery basically started, and the other place is where slavery first got its initial ending as far as America's concerned. So like there's from covered. See, I heard about this movie. I heard Ryan and Ghost talking about it on Cunt. I heard some other people discussing it, and coming from the open-minded community that we're in, you hear Big Mike and Barack executive produced a movie, and you're like, yeah, I'm not watching that. I'm not gonna watch that. I don't need to watch that. But as I heard other people talking about it, and like you said, Kyle, it's literally everywhere. You can't scroll more than 2 times on Instagram Reels or on YouTube without seeing a video about the symbolism or what you may or may not have missed in the movie. And it took one of those videos for me to be like, well, I'll give it a shot, if nothing else, to be able to talk about it on an episode. And then I watched it, and I was just like, holy shit, this is an amazing movie. Take away the conspiracy themes that we can pull out of it. Take away Barack and Michelle are the ones that produced it, and just take the movie for what it is, a cinematographical work. And it's a banger of a movie, front to back. The cinematography is amazing. The soundtrack is great. The actors do their job. The events keep you hooked. And that's without any of the subliminal stuff. It's a great movie. It's a great
and for a movie that goes for near like 2+ hours.
And to me, that's a plus,
the whole
man.
Time.
I'm so far over the 90-minute movies because I'm the kind of person, and I'm sure it's just because of my generation, because anybody born before 90 was truly the last outside generation. I spent most of my life outside up until I was an adult and I could pay for things like the internet and Netflix. But I remember waking up 6 years old, Nintendo 64. I had a TV from the day I was born to the present time. I remember what it was like to wake up at 7:00 and get the door locked behind you and don't come back till the street lights turn on, or unless it's time to eat. But then I also remember waking up, staying up 48, 72 hours in a row trying to play a game on the PlayStation or whatever. So I'm like in this weird mix of I remember the world as it used to be and the beginning of the world as it is now. And there was a lot of things that I picked up in that movie that if I was a little bit younger, I don't think I would have picked up on. And if I was a little bit older, I might not have picked up on. Because I listened to Chud X and Moral Bob on Are We Content Yet a lot. And they're only 4 or 5 years. I think Moral Bob's only 4 or 5 years older than me. And it's like he's from a completely different world. but I'm still close enough to his generation that I understand what he's talking about because I called it. Like the first, like I said, I was born in 90. My first memories are from like 93, 94. I remember the world in 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. It was just the 80s all over again to an extent. But I don't know, man. Like this movie was.
It definitely drives the fear and the idea that the generations
God.
today, Hank, they're so connected to devices and the internet that if that were alone was to go out, people would collectively lose their minds. Their brains have been hardwired to have dopamine hits that are done within microseconds. That's the whole idea of apps and games and things. But the thing that fundamentally freaked me out about this movie was that just by so many people talking about it, like there's 1,000,001 podcasts on it now, there's tens of thousands of posts. People have, I dare say, noticed pretty much everything that anyone else is going to talk about. But in some way, we're giving it power by talking about it. And I'm going to say that fucking new agey word, manifesting. But by the idea of talking about it and sharing what the outcome in this film is, are we actively giving them the green light for it to happen? Because we're catastrophizing all the things in this film to the point where it could quite easily occur now. Like in scriptural doctrine, you give a demon power or evil power by acknowledging its existence. If we acknowledge the things they want to do, is that like some kind of a barter system by acknowledging it and talking about it? That gives them the green light to go ahead with it?
No, I definitely agree with that. I was talking last night with everyone on the Cave podcast, and we were talking about something similar where even just like speaking about it, you are giving it, you're feeding it. And I said it was like it's like a fucking Taylor Swift concert. Like you're there, dude. When they're doing showing all like the demonic shit in the background that just for like that microsecond, and everyone's cheering and have a good time, you're literally feeding into you're putting you're giving your energy to this negative entity. And that's I don't know, that's how I feel about Taylor Swift. I think she's demonic as all hell. But I agree. And I'm also and another thing too, Drew, is that how real and
the
how
threat is.
Yeah, how real like that really can happen. Like I put it on. My fiance wasn't feeling good. Actually, funny enough, she had the spins that night as we were talking about the spins. She had a little bit too much champagne. And so me and my daughter were sitting here watching it. And my daughter loves like scary movies. I mean, I let her, she doesn't have nightmares, so I don't really give a shit what she like. I care what she watches, yes. But as far as like scary movies go, she's not like, I can't go in there by myself. I'm scared. And then I have to stay up, for an extra 3-4 hours to make sure she's okay. That doesn't happen.
Kids are gangsters.
So, dude, they yeah. But we're sitting here watching this, and if you've seen the movie, there's really nothing that like, what could be scary about that as far as like coming from an 8-year-old's perspective. And my daughter is like, this is really scary, Dad. And I'm like, there's not even like a bad guy in this movie. Like there's no like monsters, there's no clown walking around. And she's like realized like, I don't know, maybe because she hears a lot of the conspiracy and talk my podcast, whatever, that I do, but she's like, this is really scary, Dad. I'm like, yeah, well, it's a very real possibility. But the fact that we're able to watch that, what's that? I forgot what the fucking term is where like a lot of these societies, they kind of have to tell you what they're doing without really telling you they're doing it.
Just kind of absolve themselves of sin by letting us know what their plans are.
Yes. But dude,
I think I know where your daughter's coming from, because kids like, and for generally, people like scary movies, monster movies, because it has an element of fantasy to it. So your brain instinctively goes, okay, that's not real. It's the jump scares, it's the fun. This movie shows you very real things that could happen at the drop of a hat, and it's completely out of your control.
This is just a scary movie. This is, oh shit. This is we could wake up tomorrow to this.
Exactly. And what's more scary about it is the elites are kind of rubbing in our faces saying, if society collapsed, energy, infrastructure, internet, communications, everything stopped, we could happily go live underground for 50 years while you all pull yourselves apart and eat each other, and we can come up and kind of claim everything again.
So that's what
they are so set up and we aren't.
My boss was asking me about this movie. He's like, you can spoil it. I'm not going to go watch it. I was like, dude, you need to go watch it. It's a great movie. But I was telling him, basically, in a nutshell, this movie is about realizing as an everyday Joey Bag of Donuts citizen of the United States of America that the federal government has zero contingency plan for you, for Kyle, for Crystal, for Shawn. Drew, if you were over here, they wouldn't have a plan for you either, but you better fucking believe they've got a plan for themselves. They're going to have a heads up, and the best that they're going to be able to do for us is just like in the movie, take care of yourself.
Isn't it a coincidence that we suddenly start to get reports of Zuckerberg building bunkers in Hawaii, and then you've got people that have got them in New Zealand, and then they had the trailer drop for that American Civil War film that comes out next year during your election? All very on the nose.
That's very well put, and yes, definitely very. It's fucking scary, dude. It's scary, and it doesn't take right. It doesn't. It's not a virus, right? That we need to be worried about. It's not a fucking China fucking balloon we need to worry about. It's the simple fact if they cut the fucking power, dude, it's mayhem, and it's mayhem for multiple reasons. You have these people that are completely dependent on their Instagram, their
what did old boy
Facebook.
say? What did old boy say? I am a completely useless man.
That's 99.9% of the population.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. But think
you.
about this though. If the power grid goes out, right? Like, for instance, my fiance is diabetic. She will fucking die without her insulin.
Oh, she's fucked.
I'm going to make fucking sure she's got insulin because I'm not fucking letting that happen.
But you lose under any ability or access to an insulin pump or anything like electron, like in the case of an EMP, let's say because that's been the hot buzzword over the last few years with the China balloon and everything, right? Oh, that balloon could have had an EMP. And let's be honest, who's got their entire house and everything within it trapped in a Faraday cage? Maybe that one asshole that wears the Cowboys hat, but not everybody. You know what I'm saying? So let's be real.
Well, even think about like clean drinking water. That would go very quickly in the grand scheme of things. And people would resort to drinking out of rivers and lakes, which in itself doesn't sound bad. But how many desalination plants and sewage plants would be leaking into our clean drinking water? People would start dying of dysentery.
Even if you don't have
in
plants,
real time.
What is agriculture induced to the water table? Over here in America, Drew. I love you, baby. Over here in America, it doesn't matter. I
love you too, Hank.
I love y'all. I do. It doesn't matter what crop you're growing. For the most part, this is what grows in the United States: cotton, rice, soybeans, corn, wheat, and then what's called sorghum. Us rednecks know it as Milo. That's basically it. That's all that we grow. The Carolinas have tobacco and other regional places probably have their regional crops, but overall that's basically it. Those 5 major crops. That's what we get down on. Rice, cotton, corn, and beans, and wheat being the majority of it. Sorghum's not as big of a market. Every single plant that gets planted gets doused in its lifetime with at least a cup to 3 cups worth of chemical from the time the seed is put into the ground to the time it's harvested. We spray the ground before we even put the seed in the ground to make sure we don't have any weeds in the fields. Then once we plant the seeds and they're there for a few days, we spray it with fucking pesticides again that the seeds have been genetically modified to not be affected by, aka Roundup Ready seeds. That's a big thing over here. Is you can buy corn seed, cotton seed, rice seed, soybean seed, wheat seed that is Roundup Ready. That way, when you put it in the ground and it's 3 days old, you can hit that bitch with a plane full of fucking Roundup, and it won't kill your plant, but it'll kill the weeds in the field, right? The weeds in the fields that have already genetically modified themselves to not be affected by Roundup. So we're constantly altering the chemicals that we spray in abundance. And then once we've, got the seed in the ground, we sprayed it with the Roundup again. Then we periodically, through its life cycle, hit it with pesticides and herbicides.
Oh, we lost your sound there, buddy.
We can't hear you, Hank.
They got to him.
Dude.
Well, Kyle, while we were getting this set back up, you mentioned your wife's a diabetic, and that's a big issue. But think about people poo-poo on modern-day medicine and science because it's become so commercialized, especially in America, and it's a big money business. But modern-day medicine, even through the basics, keeps so many people alive. People could die of an infection from not having a tooth pulled. People could die from not having a general antibiotic. There's so many things that are in basic medicine that keep people alive today. We could see hundreds of thousands of people die within a month if the electrical and infrastructure grid just failed overnight. Like asthma. Asthma's another one. If you don't have your asthma puffer, you're done.
Albuterol,
Yeah, if you don't have an EpiPen because you're allergic to something, you are done. There's so many allergies today that we have basic medicines for that wouldn't be in production or circulation. You'd have a lot of people die from very basic medical treatable illnesses and disease.
That's a really solid point, because I am like anti like I don't know. I don't know how to form my words in the correct way, but I fucking hate the doctors. Like, I'm an idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. I'll be the first one to say that. I had open heart surgery on my 20th birthday or 20th birthday. So 13 years ago. I have not seen a doctor in 13 years. So that's fucking retarded. I don't recommend people doing that. I just don't like going to the doctors. But at the same time, no, I agree with you. I mean, even Benadryl, if your dog gets like bitten by a snake, or like a poisonous snake, and it's been proven, you give them Benadryl, like they're gonna pull out of it. But yeah, and not only that, as far as medications, but some people take medications to balance out their brain, their everything going on up there. So if you're not getting that stuff, and it's not, you can't, if the power grid goes down. If you've ever been, like, we have Walgreens, we have all different when you go there, they're on the computer and they're typing up, they're trying to check to make sure the doctor gave you a refill or they didn't give you a refill. If that shit's the bed, dude, and people that really fucking need it, no matter what your ailment is, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be a very wild time, and I think that's why it's so important to focus on and prepare yourselves too for such attacks and whatnot. Kind of a little bit off topic, but I seen this really cool, and I want to dig deeper into this, but I saw this really cool video, about lead paints and how they banned lead paints, I think in the late 80s, early 90s, because kids were eating the paint chips supposedly, and it was fucking them up. Well, when you go have an x-ray done, right, on like your mouth, you're going to the dentist, you have something going on with your mouth, before they take an x-ray, what do they put on you? They put a lead vest on you. Yeah, a lead apron on you. So that blocks all that shit. So I was thinking, kind of little out there, but what if they're doing that even though they almost prepared for it a long time ago, because now we have all these 5G towers. And this is not coming from me, by the way. This is a video that I watched, and I'm like, fuck, this dude's got a good point. But yeah, you have all these 5G towers, but what if your house was completely covered in lead paint, the outside?
Well,
like,
lead
would
paint
that
is
reduce?
scientifically proven to refract certain sound waves and radio waves.
Frequencies,
So, yeah. So back in the day when the CIA would like have to post up on the block to spy on you through your walls and shit and hear what you were saying with their little sound cannon thing, the lead paint would be a barrier that they couldn't penetrate. And so the theory is that the federal government banned lead paint so that you could be spied on easier.
I'll add on to that. Architecture changed a huge amount. So not only was lead paint removed, you moved away from classical architecture into brutalism. Sure. Classical architecture had ornate window coverings. Plaster was much thicker. Yes, you had hardwood framing, not pine. You had all these elements going on that were conducive to blocking frequency. So your houses had multiple rooms. It wasn't open format living. Now, the biggest push for open format living is interconnectivity. It's almost like they preempted having Wi-Fi systems, devices that connect through Wi-Fi throughout the house, smart devices. In normal houses, you can drop a frequency in between multiple rooms. So as the way went to this brutalism idea where you've got straight edges where the frequencies can bounce off much easier than being dissipated against ornate cornices and wall mounts. Like that's how you insulate a room against sound. You put egg cartons everywhere, right? Or you have that foam. It's because of the texture and the multiple shapes that blocks the sound. If you have flat walls, it bounces much easier and the frequency gets sent around. So it's a combination of all these things going on so they could build a perfect system.
Not to mention what we
Wi-Fi,
were using
5G.
to build. The actual materials we were using themselves. Where we were using different mixtures for concrete or different stone for our bricks to what we have now, where we literally have dead structures. Whereas Matt T from The Great Deception eloquently breaks down all the time, these buildings that we used to see, what we now refer to as old churches or old insane asylums with the crazy steeples and crazy shit up top, that these were actually energy producers and stuff. Like all this served a purpose. Like the architecture served a purpose. When you were in the middle of or inside one of these buildings, things literally happened to you. And it was because we're we all know, we're in this truther world. We all know that we're frequency and the vibrating and the light and all that good joy and stuff, and how frequencies can, we can use Rife machines, which is just sound and frequency, to cure pretty much any ailment, all this. And so it's no wonder that this architecture underwent a change, because if we're in this matrix that is controlled by somebody, they knew that we were benefiting from these healing centers and this architecture. So it all makes sense when you look at it from that point. But I want to backtrack a couple of seconds to back into the movie and like the grid going down. We're all assuming that we're not gonna just be instantly dead within a week because the nuclear reactors in America are going to go boom. Like that was one thing the movie really didn't touch on that great. But that's one thing I think about is when the power goes out, that water's going to evaporate on them nuclear rods really quick. And it's not going to take long. And then when boom happens, there's no putting smoke back in that cigarette. You know what I'm saying? unless you're prepared with your doomsday bunker that's prepared for filtrating radiated air and cleaning it up for you to breathe and all that jazz, and not even us that are aware of these scenarios, we're not ready for that. It doesn't matter if you're in the city or the country. If a nuclear reactor goes boom in your vicinity, you're dead. You're dead.
Are we talking like what about the hydronuclear? Because like we got a hydronuclear plant in Michigan City, which I would say is only like 3 hours from me, maybe less than that, maybe 2.5. So like what happens when the power goes down for a hydronuclear power plant?
So you gotta think that it would be the same, end up in the same spot that any a non I don't know exactly what style of plant it is, but about 3 to 4 hours west of me, there's a nuclear plant in Russellville, Arkansas, and I know that motherfucker probably, it's in Arkansas, bro. It probably slacking on some OSHA qualifications. You feel me? There's probably some hopes and prayers holding that bitch.
And you'll see a world full of OSHA violations.
Amen. So
wow.
I don't know if there's the differences between your standard, what you think of. I don't know if what I think of as a nuclear plant is the typical hydronuclear plant. I don't know what that falls under, but one way or another, you got to think if the power's down, that water's evaporating. And once those rods become exposed, boom happens. And when boom happens, it's like Chernobyl. And there's several of these reactors in America. And even if we are on a flat disk or we're on a marble, wind is still a real thing, and wind's going to carry this radiation around. And I'm only 4 hours away from one. It doesn't really matter what I do, I'm dead. As we discussed before I hit the go button, because I'm so close to the Mississippi River, I can't dig down far enough to get a doomsday shelter because the water table is opposing me. I have to travel about 2 hours west to be able to sufficiently dig down deep enough to have subterranean shelter.
And it'd be a slow death too. Like, unless you're taken out by the initial like meltdown or nuke going off, you'd pray you're closer to it because you'd have the most slow, agonizing death from radiation poisoning. I just looked up how many nuclear power plants you guys have got over there. 92.
Oh yeah, we're
country,
dead.
Spread out everywhere. You're all done.
And then that's not counting the underground secret silos that house missiles that we still have from the Cold War.
And how's this in comparison? Like, we don't have to worry about nuclear. We've only technically got one nuclear power plant in Australia, and that's used very small scale for medical purposes, like building stuff like that. We've got 22 coal-fired power stations across our entire country.
Got a coal power plant
in
right
comparison.
now, 15 minutes away from me. As the crow, I could be there in 5 minutes as the crow flies. That's some bitch. And see, and this is what I've always thought about since they built this power plant was back in the day, my fear used to be the ragheads from the Middle East, because like once again, hat tip to Cunt, Ryan and Ghost, they were talking about it, and Ryan had mentioned to Ghost that kind of programming was put in us that were alive during 9/11. Like, we were programmed, especially as children. I was 10 when 9/11 happened. We were programmed that the Middle East was the bad guy. The ragheads must die. It's America or fuck you. And I used to think, well, fuck, if they were smart, dude, they just drop a bomb right here in Osceola, Arkansas. Because we're so close to Memphis, Tennessee, which is there's two bridges that go from Memphis into Arkansas. And if you take those bridges out, you have crippled half of the commerce travel in America. Like you have severely fucked up America's able to move product from one side of the Mississippi River to the other. Like Memphis is a key location just because of those two bridges. Now, of course, you've got New Orleans and you've got places on up the river that you can cross. But when it comes to the lower half of like from St. Louis south, Memphis is it as far as the main passage across that Mississippi River. And if and we're I'm if I were to cross the river, if I were to get in a John boat and just a regular old dinky fishing boat and go across the river, I'm 20 minutes north of Memphis. So if you were to blow up our fucking shit with us being so close, you don't even have to drop bombs very much further south to hit Memphis. Like I've always considered where I live a strategic, like, oh shit, we need to worry about people targeting us as far as a mainland invasion because we have a power plant. We have steel mills. Like we have massive facilities that will go boom. And so here's the thing that I think about even further. If enough things go boom at the same time on the Mississippi River, they could trigger the New Madrid Fault to rupture. The same New Madrid Fault that back in 1811 and 1812 created a hole so fucking big that the Mississippi River ran backwards from this whole south, which was in what we now consider Lake Reelfoot, Tennessee. Everything from its south ran backwards for 3 days. Think about a hole so big that the biggest river in America took 3 days to fill up from both directions. Church bells rang in Washington, D.C. because of an earthquake roughly around Cape Girardeau, Missouri, which is in between me and St. Louis. Like this was a massive earthquake. The New Madrid fault line is I think the second biggest fault line in America next to the San Andreas. Like if I'm, and that's the shit I worry about, like an explosion big enough over enough square mileage that they ruptured this fault line, and then you've got untold millions that are dead. Think about all the major St. Louis itself sits on the city or sits on the river. Memphis sits on the river. New Orleans is on the river. Baton Rouge is on the river. All up and down the Mississippi River, you've got massive cities and untold thousands of communities that are nothing more than map dots within 20 miles of this river up and down. Dude, you would kill so many people so quick.
I didn't really think about. Whenever I was thinking about like a terrorist attack or some like massive fucking bomb or whatever the case may be. I always thought about like San Francisco, LA, New York, maybe Portland. Sure. I didn't really consider excuse me, I didn't really consider Memphis.
Using the geography against itself is all that.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what, that would be the easiest.
You're collapsing the center of America because America would disintegrate, at least down here where I'm at, by at least 60 miles. Like it would just collapse. Like the eastern half of Arkansas just disappears.
Everyone would, all the cities would fall into like,
depending on how close Shawn is to the river, he's gone.
I'm nowhere.
All right, so he ain't got to worry about it. He's still going to be out there hunting Sasquatch.
Yep.
Yep.
Drew, you missed a hell of a Sasquatch.
So, like, right after 9/11, man, like everything around here, like we got so worked up, thinking like, okay, so like we got several smaller water towers in town, and they're not like the standard like water towers that you see that are like skinny and then they're huge up at top, like a big old bubble or whatever. It wasn't like one of those. Like, it just looks like a gigantic silo, like a grain silo. We got like several of these throughout the town, and this and that. And they started putting up signs on all these places all over town, basically stating, like, you know, to be watching out for suspicious characters, and like all the like the little like picture descriptions of the people on them were wearing turbans.
Yeah.
Like, no joke.
Dude, we were programmed to have a sincere hatred for these people to the point where we get on airplanes with them and they can't sneeze or they're getting fucking beat within an inch of their life.
I overheard a space recently on Twitter, and it was an Australian asked this really great question of this American group. What is the biggest threat to the United States in order of these three groups? The Islamic Brotherhood, the CCP, or Zionism? And every single American answered that question, put Zionism as the least threat to America. And they have the Islamic Brotherhood as first. And I'm sitting there,
us in this
looking the outside, looking in, going, the Islamic Brotherhood is a bunch of, yeah, they're not in they're barely in the country. They're a bunch of mountain boys out in the middle of the desert. They pose no real tangible threat to America. And even the CCP was put as this threat. And economically, China needs the US. So by far the biggest threat of those three was that. It just shows how conditioned our generation has been because of the Gulf War, the war on terror, Afghanistan. All these things have built up this idea of what the terrorist is in our mind. And they played that through movies in the 90s as well. Every single terrorist was either a towel head, air quotes, Middle Easterner, or it was still the big bad Russians for some reason.
Yep. And to this day, Drew, here in America, they still try to, the powers that be still try to push a Russia into us as the sheeple in their eyes, to everyday citizens as the big bad. But those of us with a brain have pretty much figured out that Russia's pretty much not the problem. At least not for us. If it wasn't for Russia, Germany would have won the Second World War. So it's like we need to pump our brakes here for a second and realize what happened, you know. But we're confronted more and more every day with the realization that at the end of it, when we put ourselves in front of whatever scenario, it looks pretty bleak for us over here in America as far as being able to survive. And I'm curious as to, one, Drew, how, as an Australian, non-American citizen, not necessarily Australian, but just non-American citizen, when you hear Americans talk about scenarios like this, like that we have been, and our reactions to these scenarios, what we think about our go-tos when it comes to our defense of ourselves and whatnot. One, what do you think of that? And two, I think of, do you have any, as an Australian specifically, have any of these doomsday scenarios for yourself as an Australian? And if so, what those would be? Because I feel like us Americans, we have a hard time seeing outside of barely our own town, our own house, much less our own country. We kind of, and I'm not too naive to admit that we're, at least the certain age that, you know, me and Kyle and Shawn are, that we're kind of raised in the aspect of America first over everybody else. Like, we are the epitome of what it means to be a human being, and everybody else is secondary. And you can either come hang out with us and be a winner, or you can be an other. And I'm so thankful to know you and others that are outside of this country, because it really helps me stay centered as a human and not just some American who, America, fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah, you know, and realize that, hey man, you know, this thing we call life doesn't begin and end on the west and east coast. Like, we've got a lot of other things that we need to consider. So, you know,
Well, firstly, you guys aren't that perfect because you spell mum with an O and not a U. So that's just that small bit. I think generally, Americans, your patriotism is your strongest thing, but it's also your biggest weakness. Now, everyone talks about outside threats to America, but when shit hits the fan and something goes down, ultimately it's Americans that are going to destroy America. And that's probably a very unpopular thing for a lot of Americans to hear. But you just look at the way your country's set up at the moment. You have a huge population in comparison to other countries. You have cities, you have towns spread out at such a scale that it makes Europe pale in comparison. You have a political, ideological, and religious racial divide in your country that I don't think I've seen anywhere else in the world. Now, that movie that we've been talking about, Leave the World Behind, it nails it perfectly. You don't need a foreign nation to interfere to take over America. Americans would do it for themselves.
Yep.
Because the infighting would start. You'd go, oh, those people in that house, they were Democrats, and I think the Russians invaded us, so they're commie conspirators, so I'm going to go kill them. The infighting would be so bad you'd take yourselves out. You're a well-armed population at that.
Yep.
So it would make the Civil War pale in comparison to the damage you could do to yourselves when there's no information. Things, you're tense, you're heightened, you don't know what's going on. Infighting would be insurmountably bad. I don't think people can understand. You've got this idea of we'd gather together, we'd have like-minded people, and America would persevere because we're Americans, when in reality, I think things would collapse, and they'd collapse pretty hard. In comparison to Australia, our doomsday scenario is very different from yours. Yours is you fall from within. Even as prepped and prepared as you are, that would probably add fuel to the fire because there's extra firearms, there's extra ammunition, there's extra preps out there. People want to get your stuff. In Australia, our population is very small, 26 million, and we're spread out across a country equally the size of yours. So not only do we have small populations and vast distances between our populated hubs, that gives the ability for a foreign nation or even our own nation to quickly quell uprisings if they needed to. There's such big distances. My town could have, say, in a totalitarian dictator world, could have an uprising against the government. Well, before we have the opportunity to send a message to neighboring towns and cities, they could have sent their black ops helicopters in, their military, their mercenaries, whatever, and they could quash it out very quickly. In America, I think that fire just exacerbates and keeps spreading and nothing will actually be put out. In Australia, it's a top-down approach. The boot goes on the neck very quickly, whereas in America, it's an infighting scenario.
Dude, the crazy thing is you are so fucking right. Like, it's crazy to sit here and ask a question that you ultimately already know the answer to, but then hear it put to you in a way that's just like, Jesus Christ, I wish I could call you a liar. But you're right. To go back to that movie, what's the first thing to happen? This kid, there's a kid with a lot, his life is literally on the line, and there's a man with the means to save him. And the first thing he goes to is what I imagine everybody outside of America and everybody in America outside of the South imagines what happens is you go to your gun and you put it in somebody's face and tell them to fuck off. This is what I got. It's none of your damn business, and we can shoot it out if you want to. You know, because like you said, the prepper mentality has led to this environment that it's led to this mentality of you have to only look out for you, and that if you do anything out of kindness to help anybody else, you've killed yourself and everybody that you're responsible for. Whereas, like you said, and on a quick side note, we as Americans don't imagine Australia as big as you just described it. On our maps, Australia is a fucking dot compared to big bad America that shines from sea to fucking shining sea with our amber waves of fucking grain.
Amber waves.
Australia's got it's just that dot down there. They got kangaroos. They got Crocodile Dundee, and they used to have Steve Irwin. Like, we don't realize that Australia technically really is as big as it is, which is, like you said, rivals the United States. But y'all have what, a fifth of the people?
Or what less than that? What's a city in the States that has roughly 26 million people? Like a city, like a capital city.
Shit, that ain't
They probably got more than that.
Big, man. That's like somewhere in fucking Minnesota. That's probably like Minneapolis. Like nowhere we would consider it, like not LA.
Yeah, probably Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah. Maybe, some fucking flyover city, not your New York, not your Philadelphias, your Baltimore, Chicago's, Detroit's, Los Angeles, San Francisco's that have untold millions of peoples.
Well, that's the nuts thing. When I went to New York City, I was blown away by the number of active duty police officers in New York itself. They outnumbered our infantry and our army just in your police force for New York City. Ridiculously large amount of people.
Yeah, I've never been to New York, but I've seen, anytime you see, like, whether it's in a movie, whether it's a influencer or content creator, like, they're fucking packed. I immediately think of all the amount of taxi cabs that they have, the honking, the amount of people crossing one road to another, like on foot at any given time. It's fucking huge. It's absolutely huge. But that's a solid point. I definitely think that the fall of the United States will be solely because of the United States, and there will be nobody else left to blame except for the United States. What do you think, Shawn? You think that's a possibility?
I think that there could be like one of those things where, like, some sort of outside factor, a hit towards us, could be the initial catalyst to kind of throw things into a gigantic fucking shit show. But it would be because of ourselves that we wouldn't be able to dig ourselves out of it. We would just ultimately be like, oh, okay, well, we're fucked, so let's make shit more fucked, because that's what we fucking do. Like, we don't think about, hey, how are we going to try to make this better? How are we going to fix this? How are we going to move forward? It's just immediately going to be like, okay, well, I need to get this. I need to get that. I need to blah, 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 blah. And everybody immediately goes into panic mode. Shit, dude. When fucking COVID, remember when, like, you couldn't go to the goddamn store because, like, all of the toilet paper and shit was just fucking gone? Like, everybody fucking bought up all the goddamn toilet paper. Like, I rolled into a Walmart in Michigan, and I'm looking on the aisle, and there was literally not a single thing of toilet paper. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? Like, this is the first time I heard anything about, like, like, people were, like, going, like, mad dash for this shit. And
that's
then,
assuming you even got in wearing your mask. If you didn't wear your mask, you couldn't get in.
Right, yeah.
I just found the updated numbers because I was curious as to what it was the last time I went to the States. The current number of police in New York City is 34,000 active police officers. The Australian Defence Force, all three branches, Air Force, Navy, and Army, is 57,346, with 32,000 reservists, with a total of 89,395.
Man, but I've seen the Siege of Jadotville.
Tiny.
I've seen the Siege of Jadotville. I know that them Australians have heart. It ain't the quantity of them, it's the quality.
Dude,
But
that's
do you put that in
fucking
put that in comparison though?
Oh,
You
but
don't
yeah,
realize
no,
how
it's
tiny
absurd.
Australia is. It's
It's
ridiculously
absurd.
small.
But then think about the fact, Drew, that even though there's that vast number of police in just that one city,
Outnumbered by the civilian population, like 50-1.
every day of the week, and if not by physical people, then by the guns. Like, there's a reason why that Japanese general said that nobody's going to invade America, because behind every blade of grass there's a gun. Well, in this day and age, if we adjust the numbers, there's probably about 3 guns behind every blade of grass.
Mm-hmm.
So come on, if you want to act ignorant. There's a reason why at the end of the day, the far left over here and the swamp Republicans don't really fully enforce a Second Amendment ban, because they know in order to accomplish even to get America to the point that Australia is, which if you're Australia compared to, let's say, oh fuck, I had a place, but where you literally can't have guns. At least Australia can still have guns. You just might have to fib out what they're for. You know,
Let's use the United Kingdom as an example, because there's very strict regulations around firearms.
Let's use that. Dude, I'm America's gun laws can't even work. Like, everybody over here has guns. Everybody. Even the people that are legally not allowed to carry have guns. Like, legislation ain't never stopped shit. like they if and in order for America to go from the status of gun ownership that it is now to even like we said, compared to the United Kingdom, Australia has lenient gun laws. It'd be an all-out war. And like you said, we outnumber them. They don't want that.
Which brings it back again to empires fall from within, not from without. No one wants to go toe-to-toe with America based on your military size, your technological capability, your alliances with other countries. So it has to fall from within, and has to be Americans to do that.
Which, full circle moment, let's take this back to Leave the World Behind. What was their ultimate pinpoint of the highlight of the movie? Was that there's a 3-step plan to topple any government. Step 1 is to cause division and isolation amongst different peoples,
which we're doing right now.
No, that has been done. That was further excelled and almost brought to the completion with the lockdowns. Which sped us right into step 2, which is the campaigns of misinformation, disinformation and shit. And I hate those words. Good God, if I never heard misinformation or disinformation again in my life, I could die a happy man.
That sounds like misinformation to me.
Right? Right, let me just go Kurt Cobain myself real quick. But and then granted, step 1 and step 2 was done properly. Step 3 happens naturally as a product of the step 1 and step 2, and that's a coup d'etat, a government falling from its own people. Now let's tie that idea from a movie for the people that want to be skeptical to something tangible. Let's go back to the roots of communism. Karl Marx and those who wrote that the only way you were going to defeat America was from within, where they said that you would have to sow seeds and then over generations take inches at a time to ultimately end up in a place where you could topple America from within? Guys, we're not. I mean, these circles don't always. I know Kamala Harris likes fucking Venn diagrams, but too many of these circles are overlapping.
Well, you guys have been doing this shit in the Middle East for over like 50 years, right? The CIA has done this exact thing: make a country deaf, dumb, and blind. You look at the Middle East from, say, even the 40s up until the 70s, they were very westernized. Women wore Western clothing, they had makeup, they loved rock music, they drank alcohol. It wasn't fundamentalist Muslim nations. Through things like Arab Springs and religious uprisings, or putting ayatollahs in control, that's how you toppled countries in the Middle East.
Yep.
You broke them down religious and secular lines. You then destroyed their economies, which fractured them further to the point where they had uprisings.
Yep.
Is it America's turn? Is it the West's turn? This is the thing we're starting to see.
Of course. And let's tie. And I really didn't even want to go here tonight because I'm saucy. And I just don't feel like it's poor taste to mention the big man. But let's tie this into scriptural terms for those who are still skeptical. We're told of the statue that's built of all the different materials, starting with the base of clay, and it eventually works itself up to the head of whatever. Dude, I'm not going there, but that's representing or representative of the fact that every empire that rises falls. And since one could say the 30s, the 40s, America has been the pinnacle of power. Guys, we've damn near had 100-year run as Big Brother. Like, I mean, that's pretty good. You know, of course, there were other empires that had better runs, but in today's time, I feel like being the shot caller, if you've had damn near 100, what we're at right now, like what, 80 years removed from the 40s. So it's only right that, and you got to think that communism showed up in American universities in the 20s. Guys, this has been a long time coming. It is no surprise to me and anybody else that's in the know that this is happening. Like we basically the whole point of Leave the World Behind and what we've been talking about, these doomsday scenarios and shit, is that I seen a clip that was talking about in the movie the oil tanker as it's coming to ground is representative of us as the American people and recognizing that there's a problem. And not only is it's an existential problem, but we refuse to do anything about it because it's way out there. That ship's way out there.
Did you notice what the name of it was?
The White Line.
The White Line. The Line of Judah.
Yep. So to us that have had our eyes open, we're the little girl that never laid down to take a nap. We're the ones that kept watching that ship. And like, we're trying to be that little girl and like, hey, wake the fuck up and look at that and see that that's coming to kill us. And we might need to move. And I made sure that even though I've only watched it once, that because in the trailer on Netflix, that's the scene that they give you when you're looking at the movie trying to decide if you want to watch it or not. That's the clip they give you. And so when I saw it in the movie, I wanted to make sure, did that ship make it to where they were on the beach? Just that part of me that tries to, you know, criticize movies and shit. Like, well, if they didn't move, would they have lived? No, them motherfuckers would have been dead. They'd have been fucked up by that shit. So like that little girl saved their life. And us, we're that little girl. We see the ship coming. It's just how many people can we get to wake up before the ship hits ground? Because I don't think there's anything we can do to stop the fall of this country. It's just what can we do to help preserve those of us that are prepared for whatever that means.
Wouldn't it be funny if the ship's guidance systems weren't hacked and the pilot was just going postal and he was like, screw that one particular family. Straight for him.
It was dude's ex-girlfriend from high school that the husband cheated on her with and like stolen from. Yeah. I could see that. Shawn, what about you, man? What do you think when it comes to like what is your stereotypical doomsday scenario that you think of? Because you've heard mine like in unnecessarily great detail. I'm afraid of.
Was Hank reloading things while he was telling you about it? Because that'd be the most Southern thing ever. Boy, I tell you what.
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like if it was going to be an ideal situation for myself and how like I was going to be able to get out of it and survive, I mean, it definitely has to be zombie apocalypse. Like, I mean, hands down, if it's not a zombie apocalypse, I'm probably pretty much screwed. Like, I'm just gonna be, I would be honest. Like, if I gotta just worry about having to fucking kill some shit that's just walking around all the time, then yeah, we'll Walking Dead this all day fucking long. I will find a goddamn katana. I will Michonne the fuck out of some shit. But like, I mean, I don't know. It's hard saying. Like, I hope nothing crazy ever does fucking happen here. But it's like, if shit's happened everywhere else in the world besides here. So it's like at some point in time, we could be sitting there playing, a game where we're flipping two cards. One of them's a red card, one of them's a black card. And we've been hitting the same color over and over and over and over and over again. Eventually, we're going to hit that other color. And, I mean, who knows when that shit will fucking be,
Dude, I think it's crazy. I've been trying to avoid the Z word all night since we've been talking about apocalyptical things. I've had a zombie apocalypse bug out plan since I was 17. And like, no, I mean, this is the plan of all plans, and it only works because of where I'm located. Because if I can get 20 minutes north of where I'm currently located, there is in one strip a Walmart Supercenter, a Payless, a GameStop, a Hibbett Sports, a Lowe's, and a Tractor Supply. And so my plan is to get to the Lowe's and weld up the doors and shit and use the concrete that's in there and pour forms around all the doors so can't shit get in. And I'm going to build like a house on top of the shelves so that even if something does get in, it's got to climb the shelves to get to me. I'm up here living. And because I've got this Walmart Supercenter and Hibbett's and shit and Payless and GameStop, I'm going to be good. And from where that fucking strip is located in the same parking lot, there's a Mexican joint, a Zaxby's chicken, a Burger King, a gas station, a breakfast diner. Like, so I'm good. American. I'm good. I've got a Wendy's and a Hardee's across the road. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm if I can get to that spot and bunker myself in, a zombie be damned.
Dude, you're describing all this.
Our Walmarts sell guns. Like, I don't know if that's a thing for you, Drew. Like, in the same store, I can go buy children's toys, diapers, deodorant, groceries, clothing, and guns.
A good old 30-06, a good 12 gauge.
Yes, sir. Maybe a good
22.
Pistol. Maybe a good pistol if they got.
You're describing all of this, and I'm just imagining a morbidly obese zombie on a mobility scooter trying to ram through the door.
That's exactly Walmart. What the fuck it would be too.
And you're on top of the 30-06, just going, "Welcome to Walmart, I love you." Bang.
Exactly. It's that scene from fuck it. What is it? Dawn of the Dead, where they're calling out like Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds. Rosie, get Rosie O'Donnell.
That's exactly what it would be like, because that strip is everything I would need. There's sporting equipment because the Hibbett Sports is a sports, like they've got baseball, basketball gear. So like I'm gonna have tees and bats and balls for a limited amount of time anyway, because I don't know if I'm gonna go retrieve these balls, but like I'm gonna be able to hit golf balls and baseballs and shoot basketballs with hoops. So I've got a Walmart that has everything from archery to ammunition to video games, and then there's the GameStop that has all the video games, and I'm gonna have clothing and shoes, and the Lowe's has everything from industrial needs, and then I've got the Tractor Supply. So if I end up with fucking livestock like chickens and pigs, I can keep them alive for a limited amount of time with the feed and shit that's in the Tractor Supply. They've got boots and industrial supply shit. So like I'm golden. And then if I feel brave, like my plan was to get an 18-wheeler and to get in this Lowe's and barricade everything up but one dock and keep an 18-wheeler there. And if I needed to go anywhere, just get the 18-wheeler, and you could load up the trailer with whatever you need and just back up to the dock and like have like custom, because I'm gonna be in this Lowe's and Walmart shit. Like I'm gonna have everything I need to build anything. So I'm gonna have figured out a way to pass from the cab of the truck into the trailer without having to get out, because fuck these zombies and shit. Like I've had this planned out for decades.
I'm gonna pitch this
so
to Netflix,
prepared.
and I'm gonna call it Hank Apocalypse: A Zombie Tale.
Dude, it would be significantly worse than Shaun of the Dead. Because my plan would probably fail instantly quick, because my plan pretty much relies on electricity and gasoline.
This was my thinking. Like those situations, any kind of grid down, zombie apocalypse, anything that happens, people, they either bunker down or they run for the hills, right? And my idea has always been run to the hills as a last resort and just go nomadic. But then I had this random epiphany one night. Could you imagine how depressing it would be if you ran off into the woods and you survived the city's collapse, and you turn around and a Sasquatch kills you, and just before it kills you, like, God damn, he was right. They're real.
There's nobody to tell. There's no way to tell anybody.
That could be a good ending to the Hank Apocalypse. That could be a
big
good
hairy
ending,
hand
right?
just goes on his shoulders, turns him into a forest bride.
You've got the last disposable
Forest
camera in America, and it's got one picture left, and so you click it as it kills you, but it comes out as some blurry fucking image. Oh,
And
that's
history
great.
is, oh my God.
Oh, that's great. Oh my gosh. Well, Merry Christmas. How about that? No, but I mean, I guess to sum up the last hour of rambling about apocalyptic shit, like none of us have a good option.
But if you want a zombie option, Hank's got one.
There you go to Lowe's.
That's on point, man. That's on point. That's smart. And at least down here in Southern California, we have that whole setup. The exact same setup you're talking about. Like it's also the 15-minute cities bullshit, dude, because you literally have everything, but it's not even a 15-minute city. It's like a 5-minute city.
Yeah.
You have everything you need within walking distance for 5 miles or
I just don't
5
see
minutes.
any situation, no matter what the apocalypse is, I just don't see a situation where you make it out of the city. That's why I've been begging you to move over here, dude. Your old lady's got family. Come on, we've got good hospitals over here too, dude.
Kyle, the way to solve it is you have to think smart. You have your prep bag and you go to a Bed Bath and Beyond, because no one's going to break into a Bed Bath and Beyond at the end of the world.
Dude,
Solid.
and if they are, it's going to be like Steve Carroll.
Dude, I funny enough, we were talking about this type of shit last night, so I busted open one of my MREs.
You're fucking up.
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
That's another day that you and your family could have lived.
Yeah. If only I didn't open one on the show.
Well, so I opened it. I opened it. No, that's not even the problem, dude. The problem, I was saying this last night, dude. My fucking problem is that me and my daughter enjoy them. It's like a bonding thing where I let her pour the water in with a little heat packet. We fucking set it up. She heats up things at different times, and we fucking crank one open and we rate it.
That's great.
Your missus is going to have to chain you both up in the basement and feed you periodically, or you'll go through the preps
Yes.
that quick.
Yes, because I'm literally
that guy.
Yeah, I just fucking love it. I fucking love MREs. I think they're cool. I think that's like the most. I don't even really play video games anymore. I mean, occasionally it'll happen. I just don't really have time for it, especially doing shows and whatnot. I'd much rather do shows than play video games. But I think the two things that are like my inner child that comes out quite frequently is board games and fucking eating MREs. And I know MREs isn't really like a childlike thing, but I feel like a child. And I'm just so amused. Like, am I going to get Skittles in this packet? I don't even fucking eat Skittles, dude. I think they're fucking disgusting.
This just ran through my mind. Kyle, you in a grid down situation, it's like a montage scenario of you playing video games, eating MREs. You've got the first shot where all of them are set up pristine and neatly. A couple of shots in, there's half of it, and eventually they're all gone. It says after 24 hours.
Yeah.
Eat through the whole lot.
It's like end of the world.
Dude,
that movie with Seth Rogen and all of them.
Yeah.
That was another crazy one. And you know what? That would be one that I would be willing to rewatch and also look into movie. The subliminal, because when I watched it, I wasn't in that mind state where I'm trying to find shit. But I bet you, dude, there's a fuck ton of stuff in there, and it's
watching
be severely
it from a sober perspective is crazy. That's a crazy movie. That's an insane movie.
Sober?
I watched it not that long ago. Yeah, like
what do you mean by what's
like
sober?
Not just fucked up watching it laughing.
I'm kidding.
Like,
I'm fucking
it's what these people do to suffer on a daily basis. Like sober, like not enjoying yourself, not getting the most out of life. Like you just wake up, you just grind through it. Like I don't know, like eating a salt with no or a cracker with no salt. Like you got peanut butter, no jelly.
Oh, dude, that was my fucking
Ham
childhood,
no cheese.
dude. Oh my god, don't even.
Ramen
that was
and
my
no
childhood.
Noodles.
Ramen with no noodles. Low key, that is kind of triggering. All right, you need to settle down. I literally went growing up. I would come home from school. I'd open up the cupboards, and we would have peanut butter, no jelly. We would have hot dog, no hot dog buns, or hot dog buns. Even worse, hot dog buns with no fucking hot dogs.
So you just put the peanut butter on the hot dog buns,
dude. I think that's what led me into smoking marijuana, because I got creative with the food that I had. And yeah, I mean, it took a lot. No offense, mother, but she was a busy mom. But dude, if I ever see another fucking crock pot in my life, I'm smashing that motherfucker.
dude. I'm the same way with pork steaks.
I don't even own one. I do not own one. I actually own a crock pot. It's about this. The diameter's like this, and it's literally to put fucking the fake nacho cheese in there to keep it warmed up. Other than that, I do not fuck with crock pots. However, I've stepped it up a little bit, and I rock an Instapot. So instead of setting your roast or your whatever it is that you're making that takes way too fucking long, instead of having to start it at 7 a.m. and then it's ready 12 hours later, my shit's ready in 2 hours, and it tastes just as fucking, if not better. But yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I hate to be that dude, but I'm gonna be having to. My lady just called me. I got to go help her next door at my mom's house with some bringing all the laundry back over to the house because
yay chores. Yeah,
laundry,
dude, I have chores.
That sounds like it's code for something's going down. The grid's about to fail. Got to bring in the laundry quickly. Come on. and you're bugging out. You're going to bed
no
and beyond.
time.
I know it.
There's no...
Well, guys, Crystal had just messaged me. One of her kids fell and busted his lip, so she's having to perform her motherly duties. That's why she didn't rejoin us. Her phone was dying, so she had to dip and get her charger. But Crystal, we love you. Thank you for coming on with us tonight. Shawn, Drew, Kyle, love y'all. Thank y'all for coming and hanging out with us and partaking in the debauchery and tomfoolery of the evening. If you want to go around, let everybody know where they can find you, plug your stuff. Drew, hit them up.
Yeah, Drew Missing from Your Missing the Point podcast. Find me on all the usual podcatchers. I'm on Twitter and Instagram for my socials. You can email me at drewmissing88@gmail.com. Check the show out. Let me know what you think.
And
Right
you got
on, right
hold up. But you got a couple of shows, right?
Oh, mate, don't make me rattle them off. There's too many. Conspiracy Theater 3000 is a show that I do with Moral Bob and Ryan Dean. We break down movies for hidden symbolism and the esoteric stuff, all that fun. And also the Homeroom Educating Educators, which is a bit of a educational podcast to help people get out of the mainstream educational system and look towards things like homeschooling or part-time education.
Let's
my
fucking
man.
go.
Jack of all trades over here.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, man. I don't know how you do it because I signed real quick. I was doing Sunday night. I guess still doing Sunday night. And then Hank and I tangled up and we got into like holistic roots. And now we're both co-hosts of each other's shows,
we're each other's
shows. And then I made the bright idea to join the K4V3, which is the Cave podcast. And so doing 3 shows, technically we're kind of only doing 2, and we're going to try to get rid of holistic roots, but weave it back into one because it's that one extra step having to go on and
Just
incorporate it into the show, man. Just call it Holistic Roots still, but have it on your own feed.
Absolutely.
Yep, and that's exactly kind of what we were thinking. Because I get in trouble. I had to back off of podcasting for a while. I got myself in a little bit of trouble for seriously. I was neglecting my family, and I'm not even saying that. My fiance's or my kids are not even in the house right now. But I was so fucking. When I get into something, dude, I get in hardcore. Whether it's a fucking video game, whether it's unfortunately, it's not work because I fucking hate working. That would be a good trait though. If I'm just like, I'm gonna work, I'm just gonna not stop working, and it's gonna be work. I wouldn't be fucking pinching pennies every paycheck. But unfortunately, or fortunately, that's not how I was built. But yeah, kudos to banging out all those shows. You guys do a great job. I really like. You make movies. You make me want to watch movies that I normally wouldn't watch. I wouldn't go out of my way for because of the way that you guys break the movies down. I fucking thoroughly enjoy your show. I'm really looking forward to whenever you guys get around to doing the Leave the World Behind episode. That's going to be a fucking banger for sure. But anyhow, with that being said, I already kind of just mentioned all the shit that we're involved in. I think, Hank, dude, I was going to pass that along to Shawn. Hank, where's your hat?
Hank, you look like you're hunting down Macaulay Culkin in his suburban neighborhood.
Dude!
Fuck! Harry,
bandits.
I'm coming in!
It's all right. I know. In the
I'm
middle
in the
stages
process of
growing
growing my hair out.
I know.
I've got a new idea for a podcast for you: the Sticky Bandits.
Let's go, dude. If that was only the 1,000th time I've heard that. Kyle, I told you about 2 months ago that I was starting to grow my hair out, and that over the next 6 months my hair was just going to evolve into more ridiculous stages. We are full blown wet bandits over here. Like if Halloween would come in the spring, I could pull off a bitch and Bob Ross.
I think what what should happen is there's a bet, okay, and the bet is going to be between you and Shawn. It's going to be a prediction of sorts, and if you lose, I don't know how this is going to go for Shawn yet, but if you lose, you're going to have to do do a little dye, maybe not maroon, but like green when your hair is nice and long. Yeah, yep. We'll save that for another time. That's just an idea that just popped up. But anyhow, Shawn, where can they find you, brother?
The Big Grimbowski podcast. You can find me on Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the different podcasting places. You can find me on Instagram. There's a Facebook page. I don't really post too much on the Facebook page, but I'm trying. X. And then I recently started Rumble, and actually started getting some of the videos and stuff of all the podcast episodes unedited, by the way, unedited. So like there's all the shit, all the fucking before and after conversations. It's all in the fucking thing. So that's that's a little nice to have on there for everyone as well. So that's there. Go check that out. I only got a few on there, but they're coming. And I also want to plug in real quick that I am now a certified animal and pet Reiki energy healer. I have a certification for it.
Yes, and
dope.
and it'll most likely be after Christmas, but we will be definitely doing a specific episode together about that, because I'm extremely interested in this journey that you're walking through, and I'm excited to see you progress through it. And I've got to know more. So that's going to be definitely an episode that we're going to get into is what even is that?
See, well, Shawn's going to be safe in a situation where the grid goes down, he runs to the hills. Bigfoot won't kill him because he can offer Reiki therapy.
That's right. Therapeutic handies and whatnot.
Therapeutic.
So I'll give you like the super quick, fast basis of what Reiki is.
Let's go.
So the type that I'm learning is the Usui Reiki, and he was a man from Japan who had started supposedly he's like the original founder, like the original starter of Reiki, all the things. But basically he was able to figure out that there was energy all around us, and it's in everything, and there's different techniques that you can do to be able to kind of tap into that energy to be able to use it and manifest it yourself. And by doing that, you can start healing all the different chakras and stuff, because just like we have like the chakra system and everything that we know about, your third eye, your crown, your solar plexus, root, sacral, all the different things. Animals have the same stuff. So it would make sense that if we would have chakra blockages, then animals and pets and stuff, they would have them just as well. And you can even look at the different kinds of behavioral stuff with animals. Anxiety, perfect one. You could have an animal that's very, very anxious all the time, and it's not necessarily because the dog has, or cat or whatever, it's just super anxious. It could be that it has a specific chakra blockage that's causing it to have extra anxiety that it wouldn't necessarily have. So I would be able to go in and help kind of, energetically heal those areas, give that animal a better feeling overall. And yeah, just kind of, helping them in that sort of way.
That's fucking awesome.
That's dope. And last thing that I have, Shawn, before we wrap this up, what can all the listeners do for all of the shows that we are representing here tonight?
You gotta hit them with the motherfucking likes and the shares in the comments and all the fucking beautiful things, because we got to get through this algorithm that sucks balls.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Well, gentlemen,
you got to hit it up. You got to hit all the things, because that's the only way that the shit sees that there's activity. The more stuff, it can even be a bad fucking review, like, oh, you guys sound like a bunch of fucking douchebags, blah 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 blah. Okay, cool, that's great, because either way, we're still getting on the thing saying, hey, that people are looking at our shit. So I don't care,
let's go.
Well said.
Hate on, motherfuckers.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate y'all coming out and playing with us tonight for the Sunday Night Secret Society podcast, for the Big Grombowski podcast, for You're Missing the Point podcast, and for the 643 Conspiracy podcast. We wish you a Merry Pagan Christmas, a very Merry Christmas, and a very drunk New Year. I mean, a very happy New Year. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy everybody else. We love you. God bless you. And we'll catch y'all next time.
Stay fly and be kind. Hasta la pasta, gents. I got a jet.